Hi, good morning. I think we have one today. Hello. Welcome. This is Prenatal Yoga. My name is Maureen. So we'll see if anyone else decides to join us today. Grab any props you may want to use. If you have a bolster and 2 blocks, that would come in handy. Not necessary, of course, if you don't have those. Something similar might work as well, and I'll offer options without props as well. Also a blanket or a towel, something that helps you sit a little taller or maybe to kneel on may be handy depending on what kind of surface your mat is on if you need a little extra support. And I am dealing with a little bit of allergies today, so I'm a little stuffy. Hopefully I'm still speaking clearly enough. It's a little windy out there. It's very strange weather we're having. It's oddly hot this time of year. All right, so I hope you're doing well. We're gonna get started here. I always like to start seated comfortably and just begin with some breath work before we add some more physical movement. So hopefully you have a good space that you're working with for your practice today. Anything that may make you more comfortable, feel more supported. I always like to offer the option too, if sitting upright on the floor is just not working for you, feel free to take yourself to a chair. You can always sit up a little taller just by sitting in a chair, having your feet rest on something if you like. So just keeping those things in mind. Also, keeping in mind to work at whatever pace is right for you today. So our bodies are changing daily, especially when pregnant, even more so than on average. But every human is shedding cells, growing new cells. There's full cycle. So keeping that in mind, you may feel quite a bit different today than you did yesterday or last week. So maybe it's a day where you have a little bit more energy, you're feeling like you want to move around a little bit more. Maybe it's a day where you're feeling a little fatigued. You're feeling a little tired, maybe you need to scale things back, skip certain poses, skip certain segments that aren't working for you, or modify however much you need to. So keeping that in mind, we're going to begin just listening to our breath. So we're going to begin with some breath work, finding a comfortable seat, having your legs positioned however it's right for you. Once again, you can sit into a chair. Now once you have that nice comfortable seat, place your hands with your palms facing down, whether they're on your knees or on your lap in some way. So this is going to help to get us started feeling a little bit more grounded. So starting to connect to your sitting bones, whatever you're sitting upon, start to feel a little bit more rooted. And with that sensation, take a moment as you continue to sit tall, keep your spine long, shoulders relaxed, close your eyes when you're ready, and then connect to that rooted feeling. And then now perhaps turn your palms up to face the ceiling. So resting the backs of the hands on the knees or the lap. And then just notice if that changes something, changes the sensation in the body. So going from feeling more grounded and rooted to perhaps feeling a little bit more open in a manner of receiving. So taking in any sensations that help you today, just noticing how the body feels, noticing how the breath is moving in and out of the body. Let's begin to explore that breath. And so as you take that breath in and out, let it move through the nostrils, at least for now. And then as the breath travels in and out through the nose, start to feel that it's a little bit more even. The inhales and the exhales match one another. They're matching in length, in quality, and then as you inhale next, let that air travel in through the nostrils. And then when you're ready to release that air, open your mouth and give a nice long sigh. Make it audible. Do a couple more like that. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling, sigh out the mouth. And then one more time like that. Inhale deeply through the nostrils. When you're ready to exhale, open your mouth. Let all of that air escape your body. And then noticing if that allows the body to feel a little bit more calm, a little bit more relaxed. Sometimes that open mouth exhale is a nice tool to just calm the nervous system, to tell your body to slow down, to take it easy, perhaps to relax the mind as well. And then just noticing palms up versus palms down, which speaks to you today. Maybe keep the palms facing up, maybe turn them back down if you need to connect to that rooted sensation. And then as you start to notice the breath a little bit more, notice what areas of the body feel like they're filling up as you inhale. Notice if you're able to create a little bit more space on the inhale and to let go a little bit more on the exhale. And then bringing one hand to your belly. Rest it low over the womb space. And then lay your other hand over your heart. And then as you breathe, fill up both hands equally with breath. So you're not breathing just low to the belly or just into the upper chest. You're working to kind of build that breath and open up through the entire body. So as you take those breaths in and out through the nose and fill up the hands in front of you, notice if you can also fill up the back body as well. You can even take a hand behind you if you need to make that connection. So each inhale feels like it's lifting your ribs, especially the back ribs, up off of the waist, creating a little bit more space for the lower back, preserving that area. And then maybe even expanding a bit into the sides of the ribs, letting the rib cage move outward, giving yourself more space in which to breathe. And then simply placing the palms together in front of your chest, fingers pointing toward your chin, so the hands seal in front of the heart. The heart lifts a little bit more, the shoulders draw a little further back, and soften down the back body. And then keeping this tall seat, keeping the spine long, go ahead and simply start to bow the chin toward the chest. And then release your hands back onto your knees or lap. Let your eyes open, just looking down in front of you. And then slowly lift the head. Let's remain seated for just a little bit longer. Switch your legs. So if you're crossing one leg in front, switch the other way, moving however you need to readjust your seat. And then take the hands back together at the heart. And find that tall seat once again, shoulders drawing down the back, shoulders staying out of the ears. Keep the shoulders where they are and stretch your arms out wide. Like you're about to give someone a really big hug. You're reaching through the fingertips of both hands, reaching to either side of the room that you're in. Rotating the palms very slowly up to face the ceiling. Keeping the shoulders drawing down the back, spine stays long. Very slowly raise your arms up. Taking your time and then stopping at a point when you feel it's your edge. So before the shoulders start to hunch up. And then maybe reach the fingertips a little higher. The hands don't have to be right above the shoulders. The arms can be open a bit more. Feel the triceps, the outer upper arms just gently wrapping inward. And then lift the chest a bit more. Begin to slowly lean the head back so that you're looking, gazing up at the ceiling between your hands, as if you're holding a giant beach ball in your hands. And then reach that ball even higher. Take one more inhale as you lift the upper body. And then with your exhale, bend the elbows. Press the palms together and draw the hands back down through the heart. Okay, reaching the arms out wide again. We're going to take some side leans. Reach over toward the right, keeping your left hip anchored. Take the right hand down, flip the left palm up, reach that arm to the ceiling, keep that shoulder out of the ear, and then maybe stretch it over toward the right as well, so that you feel a nice lengthy stretch along the left side of your ribs. Maybe look underneath the top hand, underneath the top arm. And then with your inhale, come all the way back upright through center, arms stretch out. Take the other side, reach to the left, hand down, right hand flips up, and inhaling it nice and high, and maybe over toward that side. Anchoring both hips, softening both shoulders, and then maybe looking up at the ceiling. And then inhaling, coming all the way back upright, arms stretched out. Let's move with the breath. Reach to the right, hand down, left palm up, inhaling up and over. And then come back through center, sit tall, exhale, take it to the other side. Inhaling through center, exhale over to the right. Inhaling center, exhaling to the left. Inhaling center again, exhale, take it over. Inhale center, last time, exhale over to the left. And as you inhale, come back through center, stay there, sitting tall, palms up, reaching once again. Heart lifting, arms lifting, and then exhale, take the hands together at the heart. And then let's come forward to hands and knees. So transitioning to a tabletop position, setting up on all fours, kneeling on your mat or on a blanket or towel perhaps. And then take a moment here with your wrists right underneath your shoulders. Set up your knees under your hips, toes are just uncurled behind you, tops of the feet resting. And then as you inhale, draw the heart forward, looking ahead. Maybe draw the shoulders back a bit. So not so much a dipping of the lower back, a lengthening of the chest forward. And then as you exhale, push into the hands, round the back body. Let your head and your neck hang, gazing toward the belly. And then moving with the breath, cat and cow. Heart forward, inhaling, exhaling. Nice big rounding of the back body, cat's breath. Repeating that a few times, inhaling and exhaling, moving with your breath pace. Feel free to maybe come back to an open mouth exhale from time to time, if that helps you to maybe loosen up a bit more, maybe let go, maybe calm the body and or the mind. And then go ahead and maybe take the knees a little bit wider and start to shift side to side for a moment. So knees can come a little wider than the hips, hips shift. And then let's circle the hips. Move toward the back, toward your heels, roll to the other side, come forward over your hands a bit, and then do a few circles like that. They can be small circles, they can be big circles. You can even kind of roll your head around, just letting your body move. And then transferring, going the other direction a few times, continuing with those circles. And then coming back through center. And then staying here, we're going to work a shoulder stretch. So I'm going to turn to face forward so it's a little easier to see. You can keep the knees wider than the hips, as wide as you need. And then you're going to reach your right arm over towards the right. And then you're going to turn your upper body towards the right and reach that right arm to the ceiling. Go ahead and lean the head back toward the left. So you're kind of coming off center, opening the chest. And then with your exhale, you're going to lean back down. You're going to thread your right arm underneath your left. Stretch it all the way across, lay the whole arm down, and let your head come to rest. So this is a nice big shoulder stretch here. If you want to take it further, this left hand can either crawl forward, reaching all the way out in front of you. You can even reach it up to the ceiling and wrap it behind your back if you like. Or you can just keep it where it is. And then returning that left hand back to the mat right next to your face. Push into that hand, slowly come upright, and return to all fours. So right hand comes back down, and then left arm reaches out. And then start to open towards that side. Reach nice and high, lean your head back to get the chest even more open as you reach, reach, reach. And then slowly take it back towards the ground, and then bring that arm under you. So right elbow bends enough that you can stretch the left arm further. Lay the arm down. Rest the head. And then as you come into that shoulder stretch, decide if you want to keep your right hand planted, if you want to take it behind the back, or stretch it forward, kind of reaching and extending through the fingertips. And then right hand returns to the mat, pressing into that hand slowly, draw yourself back upright, and come back to hands and knees. And then take a little bit of cat and cow for a moment, just that kind of back and forth. We're going to be doing a lot of kind of returning to cat and cow. It's a nice way to think of preparing for labor, is to move the body around and then kind of come back to the breath movement that is familiar. And then settling back into a neutral position on all fours. Go ahead and take your knees wider if they're not already wide. Curl your toes under, lift the knees up, and come into downward facing dog. Let's work some heel stretches. You're going to bend one knee quite a bit and then straighten the other leg enough that you're moving that heel down to the mat, and then switch sides. Really sinking that heel down, other knee bending, and then do that a few times. You can move slowly, you can move a little faster if you want. Maybe let the hips also kind of wag into it. And then notice if you're kind of leaning forward over the hands, push into the hands and stretch the hips further back. Now start to settle the legs. Feel free to keep both knees a little bit bent. And then really move the hips back as if someone is pulling your hips towards the back of your mat, even beyond it. And then taking the knees slowly back down. Let's take a child's pose for a moment. So toes can come together. You can sit all the way back to the heels, or if it's more comfortable, more space for the belly would be to keep the hips pretty much right above the knees and lower the forearms, resting the forehead. And then coming back upright. So maybe child's pose is a nice place to return to from time to time. Feel free to throw that in the mix a little bit more if you need to. And then let's do this. A little bit of cat and cow. Once again, just kind of returning back to that movement, that connection of movement and breath. And then walking the hands back to the knees. Come up to kneeling. And then once you're kneeling, taking your hands to your hips. I'm going to turn once again to face the side. So hands on hips, knees are underneath the hips. Go ahead and lift the right foot and step it off to the side. Point the toes forward. Arch of the foot is across from the left knee. And then if the right hip is kind of drifting up higher than the left, hug it in and then release it down. Try to even it with the left hip without leaning toward that side. Keep the upper body lifted for now. Both sides of the waist long. Reach the left arm over to the left, turning the palm up. Inhale, stretch that arm nice and high. And then we're going to take another side lean, even bigger this time as you reach up and over. Maybe keep the right hand on the hip, or if you want to go even bigger, maybe slowly slide it down the leg, any amount to get an even bigger side stretch. Try to keep the shoulders relaxed. And then inhale, slowly rise back upright. Hands on the hips, bending the right knee. We're going to start to heel toe the foot forward. So take your time getting there so that the toes can point forward. Wiggle those toes a little further forward. This foot can be outside the hip to give your belly some space, but the knee and toes point forward. And then keeping the hands on the hips so that the pelvis doesn't start to roll forward. Keep the front of the pelvis a bit more lifted. Start to bend your right knee a little deeper forward. So you're taking a lunge here. Don't let the knee go past the ankle. So you want to get that knee right on top of the ankle ideally. And then as you find that deeper lunge here with the upper body remaining lifted, you'll feel more of a stretch in the back leg. So that left hip flexor that needs a little bit more of a stretch and a lengthening. And then take the hands off of the hips and reach the arms out. Let's take a little shoulder stretch here. You're going to sweep your left arm high and your right arm low. And then you're going to try to cross at or past the elbows. Maybe you get the arms to wrap, eagle arms, or maybe you're just holding the shoulders. So you're going to feel an opening across the upper back and the shoulders. Either way you take this. Try to get the elbows to lift nice and high and the elbows to move forward away from you. And then slowly uncross the arms now, stretching them all the way back out, opening the chest. Turn the palms up, raise the arms slowly to the ceiling. And then once again, stop when the shoulders would interfere. So maybe the arms are a little bit more of a V shape rather than straight up vertical. Take another inhale. And then with the exhale, draw the hands down together at the heart. Bring your right hand to your thigh, left hand to your hip. And then walk your right foot further to the side. This is an even wider stance. And then slowly begin to lean forward so that the left hand can come to the ground. If the ground is a little bit too low, you can place a block or a brick, a book, something to bring the ground further to you. Walk the right foot out as wide as you need. We're going to take a nice big open twist. Let your right knee bend forward a little further. Maybe release your back left hip down a bit. Draw this shoulder back. And then slowly turn the chest open, leaning the head back. Maybe even come onto the outer edge of that front foot so you're lifting the inner arch and kind of pushing this knee away from you to give you space. Maybe you want to keep this hand on the knee. Maybe today you want to stretch the arm open again to kind of really feel that broadening across the chest. And then hand onto the knee. Coming back onto the sole of the foot, take your time to walk the foot back towards you. So you're going to wiggle it further to the right and then back, back, back. And then once it gets far back enough, right hand down, right knee down, move the left hand back towards you so you're in an even tabletop. And then return to cat and cow. Inhaling and exhaling, moving with your breath. And then when you're ready, walk your hands back towards you. Return upright to kneeling, hands on the hips. And then lifting the left knee. And take that foot to the side. And then make sure that right hip stays above the knee. And that knee is right across from the arch of the left foot. Left toes point forward. And then adjust the hips. So if this one is kind of drifting to the side, rein it in and release it down so it's a little bit more even. with this right hip. So you're gonna feel stretch along the outside of the thigh, maybe do a little bit on the inner thigh. And then torso nice and long. Right arm reaches out, palm up. Inhale, gather even more length as you reach that arm nice and high, and then take that nice big side stretch. Yeah, go as far as you feel comfortable. So maybe it's just a gentle lean. Maybe that hand moves down the leg if you want to go even deeper into the stretch. Keep the chest open. Keep the shoulders out of the ears. And then inhaling, lifting up with the breath. Hands on the hips. And then letting the left knee bend, sliding the heel forward. Toes continue with that until you find that kind of open lunge. So foot can be outside the hip, but keeping the toes forward. Wiggle the toes ahead a little bit more so that you can find maybe a bigger lunge. Notice if you immediately start to tip the pelvis forward and overarch the lower back. So we want to keep the front of the pelvis a little bit more neutral so that the thing that's getting a stretch is this back leg. So this opposite knee bends forward. Back leg is getting a nice long stretch. Heart is open. Take another breath here. And then keeping the bend of this knee, so not backing off of it, not hunching forward. Stretch the arms out. And then go ahead and take that sweep. Now, right arm is going to go high, left arm under, and then find that crossing. So eagle rep or shoulder hug, either one. Elbows lifting further from the ground. Forearms or elbows moving further away from your face. So you feel even more of that stretch in the upper back. And then release the arms. Take a moment to open and stretch them out once again. Shoulders stay down the back, palms flip up. Slowly raise the arms up to the ceiling. Feel the torso growing longer as if it's lifting up off of the hips. Take another breath here, maybe look up. And then bring the hands together. Exhale, draw them down to the heart. And then left hand to the thigh, right hand to hip. Start to walk the foot further to the side. Give yourself as much space as you need to. When you're ready, start to lean forward. Bring that right hand to the ground or whatever prop you're using. And then once again, give yourself space. So this foot is way wider than the hip. And then as you inhale, feel the upper body stretch forward as that back hip maybe releases further down, coming bigger into the lunge. And then maybe lift the inner foot. Maybe take that hand to the inside of the knee or thigh and just start to push it away as you start to twist toward that side. And then let the head lean back. Let the shoulders draw back. And then stay here, or if you do on the other side, stretch the arm up to feel even more open. It's a really big open twist. And then hand comes back onto the thigh. And then just start to wiggle the foot further back. So the hips lift a little higher from the ground and they shift further back. So you come a little closer toward that right knee. And then take that left hand and knee down. Right hand comes closer toward you. So you're in tabletop. Once again, return to cat and cow. And then from cat and cow, go ahead and pause, come to neutral. And then tucking the toes under, lifting the knees up, coming to down dog. Once again, feet as wide as you need, they can be as wide as your mat. Maybe do a little bit of pedaling for a moment once again, just to walk the legs out. And then begin to walk your hands closer and closer toward you. Still the pedaling. And then bringing yourself all the way back to a forward fold. So the knees are maybe a little bit bent here. Maybe clasp the elbows and hang forward. Just really release the crown of the head toward the ground. You can stay still or maybe sway a little bit if that feels good. And then go ahead and let the arms release. I'm gonna have us come into a squat here. So slide the heels in a bit and or turn the toes out so they're about 45. And then start to bend your knees. And you're gonna come into a squat. So if the heels don't reach the ground, you can roll up a towel, a blanket, something underneath the heels. You can also keep them lifted, but just make sure you're able to eventually take the hands off of the ground. If you have a bolster, you can also sit your hips on a bolster or a block or something to kind of support this squat pose. So this is Malasana. So my elbows are right inside of my knees, and my hands are sealed in front. And then I'm trying to let my elbows push the knees out, and then maybe resisting a bit by letting the knees kind of come back into the elbows. And then as the hands squeeze together, try to get the heels of the hands to be about the same height as the elbows. So that way up here, so you're working to kind of draw the chest up above the fingertips, draw the shoulders back. Now, optional here, you can either stay in the squat or you can lean forward and eventually come to stand. Or if you'd like to try this kind of dynamic in and out of the squats, it's going to work a little bit more strength. I'm going to turn forward. So you're going to press into the feet, maybe shift forward a little bit, start to lift the hips up, 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 eventually straightening the legs, coming all the way to stand, and then reaching the arms up, open the arms wide, V shape. And then maybe you're going to stay there, or maybe you're going to do that a couple more times. Bend the elbows. Bend the knees, come slowly back down to the squat, nestle the elbows inside the knees, push them out, chest up. And then anchor the feet, lift the hips, shift forward a bit, press slowly up to stand, raise the arms up, open the palms, and then bring it back down to the squat. And then once again, press this in, use the strength of the legs, rise all the way up, stretch it nice and high, open the chest. One more time, if you're doing it, come back to that squat. All right, now everyone's gonna come to stand, press into the feet if you're not already there. Slowly come back upright, stretch the arms up, lift the chest, and then stay standing, draw the hands back down to the heart. Take the hands to the hips for a moment, and then just slide the heels out so the feet are parallel. So wider than hips distance, as wide as you'd like. And then we're going to take a little bit more of this side stretching here. Float the arms all the way out and up, and we're going to pretend we're apple picking. So reach one arm up, pull an apple off the tree with the other hand. And then do that again. Stretch it up, plucking apples off the tree. And then reaching both arms up, lift the chest a little higher, open the arms a bit, float the arms all the way out wide, down by your sides. Draw your hands to your heart and then bow your chin to your chest. And then lift the head, release the hands. Take the hands to the hips, and then turn the toes out once again. You may even widen the stance a little bit more here. Yeah, so maybe take the feet a little bit wider, toes pointing out. Then start to bend the knees a bit. Look down, make sure the knees are pointing over the toes. So maybe adjust the feet, the angle, or how wide the stance is. And then start to lean forward. Go ahead and stick your butt out. Then you're going to take your hands down the thighs, fingers pointing toward the knees. And then once you're there, sit your hips a little lower. Push into the thighs. So you're kind of working the hands and the thighs and get the arms straight. If the shoulders crunch forward here, draw them back and down and pull the chest forward so you feel your spine long. So this is going to be a nice stretch for the lower back. Keep the knees pointing over the toes, keep weight on the hands, just pulling ahead. Take another inhale. And then as you exhale, take a twist to the right. So let that left shoulder drop towards center. You may feel a nice little kind of release in the lower back, maybe a little crackling. And then take it to center, inhale. Take it to the other side, twist over to the left, keep knees over toes, right shoulder drops to center. And then bring it back to the middle. And then go ahead and drop the seat a little bit more. Now lift the chest up, draw the shoulders back. Try to get the upper body back to vertical. Less weight on the hands now. Slowly take the hands off of the thighs, reach out. Turn the palms up, press to stand, slowly straighten the legs, inhale, arms reach up, and then hands back to the heart. And then hands back to the hips. Soften the knees, and then walk the feet slowly closer together. And then give a little shake. Roll the ankles around perhaps. And then staying where you are, you can stay at the back of your mat, or you can come to the center if you like. We're going to do some prenatal half sun salutes. So standing once again with the feet parallel. I'm going to turn to the side. Take your hands to your heart for a moment. And then notice as you just stand upright, notice where the weight is in your feet. So during pregnancy, because the center of gravity is different, belly is kind of growing and pulling forward a bit, it's really easy to go too far into that pelvic tilt. So it starts to make the lower back feel pretty crunched. So instead of letting all that weight drift into the balls of the feet, bend the knees a tiny amount and see if you can let the weight distribute a little bit more evenly. So not all into the heels, but a little bit more into the heels as well as the balls of the feet. So that little softening of the knees to just remind the tailbone to just kind of release down a bit so it doesn't have to tip the pelvis forward in an unnecessary amount. I'm just finding a little bit of a nice tall stance, letting the lower back release. So hands at the heart. Take an inhale. You're going to float the arms wide and circle all the way to the ceiling. On the exhale, bend the elbows, bend the knees, now lean forward. You're going to come all the way into a forward fold. Place your hands either onto your shins or onto your thighs as high as you reach to stretch forward so that your spine feels long. Let the shoulders draw back. And then exhale. Release back to that fold, arms hang. Bend your knees quite a bit now. Drop your seat back and down. Sweep your arms forward and up so you're in a chair pose, a wide-legged chair pose. So now the weight is really into the heels. And then press into the feet, straighten the legs as you inhale, raise the arms all the way up. And then take the hands back to the heart. Let's do that a few times with the breath. Inhale, circle the arms, reach to the ceiling. Exhale, soften, melt as you fold down, eventually straighten the legs. Inhale, hands to shins or thighs, stretch forward, shoulders back, long spine. Exhale, folding down over the legs, bending the knees, move the weight into the heels as the hips drop and the arms go forward and up. Seat low. On your next inhale, press to stand, reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Moving again with the breath. Inhaling, arms reach. Exhale, soften, melt all the way into a forward fold. Halfway on the inhale, flat back. Exhale, folding down. Bend the knees, transfer the weight back. Inhale. Exhale, sit even lower into that chair. And then press to stand as you inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, arms go wide, reaching up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, stretch up, halfway heart forward. Exhale, folding again. Knees bend, inhale, chair pose. Exhale, sit deeper into the chair. Inhale, rise to stand. Hands to heart, exhale. 1 more time, inhale. Arms reach up. Exhale, melt it all the way back down. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, folding. Bend the knees, inhale, Utkatasana chair. Exhale, anchor, go deep. Inhale, press to stand. And then exhale, the hands to the heart. And take a moment, relax the shoulders, notice the breath. All right, staying standing here, Go ahead and release the hands maybe onto the hips. And then you're going to take a wide stance. You may need to turn to the side depending on your space. This time you're going to take your feet out very wide. So wide enough that you could fit the length of one of your legs in between your feet. So that's about how far apart the feet are going to need to be. And then hands are on the hips. Bend your right knee. Once that knee is bent, you're going to turn from the hip sockets. You're going to open the entire leg so that the knee and toes point straight forward. And then you're going to adjust your back foot 45. Take the toes in a bit, lift the heel enough and slide it further behind you. So that whole leg is at 45 degrees. And then your right heel should be matched up in a long line to the arch of the back foot. And then bending your right knee forward. Get a nice strong bend. If the knee goes past the ankle, open the stance further so you can really get that knee to point forward and come right above the ankle bone. Take the hands up from the hips onto the rib cage. Hold the rib cage. Lift it up, lengthen the torso, turn it back to the side without letting the knee buckle in. And then once you have a little bit more space, breathe into the hands. See if you can draw the shoulders down the back a bit more. And then keep the space across the chest. Further it by stretching the arms out. Warrior two. And then looking forward, just past the fingertips of the right hand, stretching the arms really far apart. And then we're gonna move in and out, straightening your front leg, inhale, raise the arms all the way up like you're holding that big beach ball. And then exhale, bend the knee without leaning forward, just look forward again, come back to warrior two. In and out with the breath, arms up, inhale. Exhale, rebend warrior two. Inhale, reach and lift. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale up. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reach. Exhale, warrior two. Stay here in warrior two. Take your left hand onto the hip. Turn the right palm up. Inhale, keep the right knee bent. Raise that right arm nice and high to the ceiling. And then maybe further toward your back heel or beyond it as you reach and lengthen the right side. And then stay here in the reverse upper body. Simply press into the right foot and straighten the leg for a moment. Now. And then keep the leg straight. Inhale, come back to vertical. And then reach your right arm forward. Now, without letting this right knee lock all the way, take a teeny bend in it. Just enough that you feel you're engaging the leg muscles instead of just sitting into the joints. So keep and protect the joints. Use the muscles around them. Reach forward now over your right leg. And then take the hand down when you need to. So it may be closer to the ankle, maybe just below the knee. You can always place it on blocks or any props behind the foot. And then take that left hand up off of the hip and raise it to the ceiling so you're in triangle pose. So let the legs work a lot here. Feel that you're pressing to the feet and almost energetically dragging them towards the center. So you feel the inner thighs scissor together. And then keep the chest open, raise that top hand to the ceiling even higher. And then pressing into the feet, use the strength of the legs to inhale all the way back up to stand. And then take the hands to the hips. Let your right knee bend. And then slowly parallel the feet. And then once they're parallel, both knees bend, slide the heels in, and then the toes. And then continue with that. Maybe pedal at the feet, roll the ankles, shift the hips. And then take a moment, just standing, bring the hands to the heart. Notice the breath. If you need to reconnect to the breath, maybe come back down for a moment and take cat and cow, or just remain standing. And you're ready. Let's take all of that on the other side. So hands return to the hips to separate the feet nice and wide again. So same long stance. And this time we're going to take the left side. So left knee bending, turn the knee and toes all the way open. Then bring the right toes in closer to the left heel. Lift the left heel and move it, or sorry, the right heel, move it further away from you. And then make sure that you're aligned heel to arch. So back foot 45, left toes pointing forward. And then get a nice strong bend of the knee. Once again, you don't want the knee going past the ankle. If it does, more distance between the feet. And then take the hands all the way up, lifting so that you're holding your rib cage so you can actually lift the ribs up off the waist and create some more space. And then turn the torso to the side. So you want the torso facing the side as the left knee and toes point forward. Pick up the rib cage, breathe into the hands. Shoulders down the back, arms reach out nice and wide. Nice strong stance, nice open warrior two. And then just the head looks forward. Maybe just a little bit more bend of the left knee. Press the back heel a lot. Press the whole outer edge of the back foot. And then with your inhale, slowly straighten the left leg, float the arms up, parallel the hands reach. Moving with the breath, exhale, warrior two. Inhale, float it up. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, arms reach, legs straighten. Exhale, second warrior. Inhale it up. Exhale, warrior two. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, warrior two. Keep that bend. Take your right hand to your hip. So preserve that space in that side of the waist as you turn that left palm up, raise that arm nice and high. And then make sure you don't go so far back that you start to feel a compression in that right side of the waist. Keep the hand kind of hugging the hip and drawing it down away from the waist so you can make a little bit more space on that side as you work to stretch the front left side. All right, keep the upper body the same. Start to slowly straighten the front leg. So you're in a reverse triangle. Once again, you don't want to lock that front knee all the way. Press into the feet, inhale, slowly come all the way. Stand and then stretch your left arm forward. So you're working to go past the foot. So let your hips feel like they're moving now into your right hand or behind you as you reach out over the front leg. Once you can't reach any further, so you're stretching this underside of the waist, take the hands down. So if you're using props, a block, bring it outside, as far back as you need so that you're not falling over the front leg. You can also place it on the leg, whatever height you need, making sure that you're not pushing that hand into the shin. So you want to move the shin into the hand instead. And then raising the right arm all the way up when you're ready to set up. Make sure the entire upper body is open to the side. So you don't want to collapse forward over the front leg. And then keeping the neck long, keeping the whole spine long. So you're stretching the crown of the head forward. And then pushing into the feet as you inhale, come slowly back to stand. And then once you're upright, bring the hands to the hips. Soft bend of that front left knee. Turn the toes in. Once the feet are parallel, let the knees soften as you walk the feet closer together. And then take a moment, shake out the legs. All right, let's bring ourselves back down to the mat. And then once you're there, take a moment to return to cat and cow, just for a few breaths here. And then as you settle back into neutral, so you're gonna stay here, hands and knees. I'm gonna have you lift your shins, point your lower legs over to the left, set them down. So the legs are at an angle. Walk your hands toward the right, back, back, back. Place your right hand down. You're gonna come to sit. So you're seated more onto your right hip. Your knees are bent, lower legs pointing back. So once you're there, you may find you need to kind of widen the knees a little bit, maybe take this bottom foot inside, or maybe keep it with that leg slung over. So bent knees, find a position that feels right for you, adjust as needed. And then you're going to place your right hand back behind you. So it can be on the ground, you can place it on a block or any props. Just a little bit here, side space. And then you're gonna lean into that hand. So you're gonna lean back without slouching, hunching here. Keep the chest up. So you're just kind of drawing that back shoulder behind you. And then stretch your left arm forward. Turn the palm up. Inhale, raise that arm to the ceiling. As you do that, feel the chest lift up a little higher. So maybe you're gonna take this soft variation where this back elbow is maybe just going to bend back a little bit and you're gonna reach a little further back. Maybe that's enough and you feel a good stretch. If you wanna go bigger here, press into the backhand, straighten the arm. Then you're gonna lift your hips up and then maybe step this left foot forward. As you stretch the left arm higher, maybe reach it a little further back. Take care that you're not locking the right elbow. Yeah. So big side stretch here. And then very slowly, if you lifted the hips, lower all the way back down. And then bend that knee if you straighten the leg. And then walk your left hand towards you. Your right hand towards you. Keep the left arm reaching up. From here, I'm going to have you take a twist. Turn to the right, away from your feet. And then take that hand down to the knee. Maybe crawl the right hand further back behind you if you like. You can wrap it behind the back or you can rest it on any props. So you're taking a nice open twist here. So this is a great twist for pregnancy. If you're taking a non-prenatal yoga class and they're doing some kind of twist where, they're crossing here and it's just gonna be impossible for you, take this twist. It's a nice open twist. This is a great variation. There's space for the belly. You still get that big stretch for the spine. You're still sitting up nice and tall and just turning with every breath. And then as you exhale, release, facing forward. Now we're just gonna swap the legs. So you can just lean back a bit, move your feet out from under you. You're just gonna roll to the left hip, bend the knees again, and then just switch sides. So once again, adjust, make this comfortable. You can have the knees closer or further apart so you're able to get a little bit more lift. And then place that left hand behind you, just kind of angled away from the hip, and then lean back into it. Keep the chest lifted. Right arm stretches forward, palm up, and raise it to the ceiling. So once again, maybe you're just staying soft, maybe you're just bending the back elbow and reaching a little further back. Or if you're going bigger, you're pressing into that hand. Lift the hips up so this right side of the waist stretches to the ceiling. Maybe that foot steps forward and you reach up and go further back into it. And then if you did lift the hips, slowly take them down. Right arm reaches up. Bend the right knee, bring it towards you. And then walk your left hand toward the hip to come back upright. So now you're not leaning back, your upper body is vertical, stretching through the right hand. And then as you exhale, you're just going to turn. Turn slowly from the bottom up. Once you've turned enough, take that hand to the knee. So you don't want to lean forward now, you want to stay upright. So you're twisting on the axis of your spine. And then maybe your head is turning to look back. So you're stretching the neck. Just a gentle, a soft turn of the head. And then as you exhale, unwind. And facing forward, keeping your left knee bent. Lean back enough so that you can stretch your right leg out at an angle. And then your left heel can be just right in front of your hip as you sit tall. Flex the right toes so they point up. So you're pressing the heel out, toes point to the ceiling. And then sit up tall, stretch your arms out. Inhale, lengthen upward away from the ground. Exhale, take a subtle twist toward the bent knee, so towards the left, enough that your right arm is stretched straight over the right leg. And then as you look at the right hand, try to reach it further past the leg, like you're trying to go beyond the toes. And then take the hand down, reach for the toes or some part of the leg. Look back to the left palm, flip it up, raise that arm up to the ceiling. And then you're going to take another side stretch here. Really big one this time. Maybe reach further. That top hand kind of arcs over the leg. Maybe if it's easier to have this right forearm resting on something so you're a little bit more upright. If you're going bigger, grabbing and reaching further over. Only take it so far that you're feeling the stretch, but you're not straining. So maybe it's a little bit of a gentler stretch today. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. Keeping the chest from collapsing to the ground, keeping the shoulders from creeping up to the ears. And then inhale, slowly lift it all the way back upright. Lower the hands down. You're gonna switch sides. Start to bring your right heel towards you. Move the left leg out away from you. And then right heel comes all the way in. And take a moment, make sure you're able to sit tall. You can always prop yourself up on a blanket or a cushion or something. And then flex the left toes. Sit up tall, stretch the arms out. Inhale, lengthen upwards. Exhale, little twist to the right. And then make sure your left arm is right above the left leg. And then reach all the way forward. Try to stretch it all the way out. Take it down. So reaching for the foot, leg, or forearm on block. And then right hand reaches up nice and high. So you can stay a little bit more vertical if that's a better stretch. Or you can go bigger as you take that top arm over the leg as well. And then using your inhale, come all the way upright. Exhale, arms by your sides. And then keeping your left leg where it is, you're gonna move your right leg out away from you. So you're gonna take the legs into a V shape. So make any adjustments you need. And then if you're gonna take any props in front of you, we're gonna fold forward. So if you have blocks, bolster, or something that you want to have in front of you to rest your hands or forearms on, take that. Legs are just wide enough that you can still sit tall and flex through both heels. So they don't have to be all the way out wide. If that's a better angle, have them a little closer together. Once again, nice tall seat. And then just start by having the hands in front of you for a moment. Maybe fingertips to the ground or on props. And then lengthen the spine, sit tall, shoulders back. Inhale. Keep the toes pointing up. Exhale, let the upper body just tip forward a bit. Maybe that's enough. Maybe the hands walk further forward. Maybe you keep walking them forward, or you place the forearms on blocks, or you stack the blocks and make something for your forehead to rest upon. So some variation of this fold with the legs out wide, with the toes and knees pointing up, so the upper body is tipping forward without hunching forward. So you want to try to keep the spine long, you're lengthening ahead. So it should be a nice stretch for the inner thighs. And then just be here for maybe about 5 or 6 more breaths. Not a very long hold, but just enough to get that stretch through the inner legs. When you are ready, you're going to start to slowly make your way back upright. And then moving any props out of the way for now. Grab the backs of the knees. And then leaning back as you start to drag the heels toward the hips and pulling the knees up, you're going to place your feet onto the mat with your knees, or sorry, with your feet wider than your hips. Then you're going to lean back. And then you're going to shift the knees to the right and to center to the left. And you're just going to do that a few times. Nice little release. Feel free to lift this hip up if you want to get a little stretch for the lower back as you do that. And then come back through center. Sit upright, cross your legs in front of you. So we're going to take a seated hip stretch here. So you're going to cross at the shins so that the knees are really, really wide. So you don't want to be here just kind of crossing at the ankles. You want to get the knees a little bit closer in, so they're maybe just outside the hips. And then keeping the feet flexed. So instead of letting the inner feet roll up, feel like you're pushing through the balls of the feet outward in opposite directions. And then sit up tall, hands holding the knees, draw the shoulders back and down. See if you can find a nice flat back, long spine here, and keep that as you exhale and start to tip forward over the legs. So without hunching forward, once again, spine is long. So you may feel a good stretch already. You may need to take the hands and walk them further forward, maybe resting on blocks again. If your hips are very open and you're not feeling enough of a stretch by just having the legs crossed, then you're going to take that stacking. So it's a double pigeon variation. So you want to have knees and ankles stacked and then shins laying flat. So if that's too much and you're up here, then you don't need to do that. You can just cross. So just finding a variation that you can feel a stretch in the outer hips as you fold forward. Maybe walk the hands further out if needed. And then a few breaths, keeping the back of the pelvis anchored. And kind of working to extend and lengthen forward. Then starting to walk the hands back, coming back upright to sit. Let's switch sides, so other leg crosses in front or other shin stacks on top. Take a moment to find a nice tall seat, shoulders roll back, keeping the flat back. Exhale, start to tip forward. Take your time easing into it, just moving a little bit more, lengthening forward as you fold down. And then finding where you need to be, settling in, and just taking a few breaths on this side. And walking the hands back, come back upright to sit. And then go ahead and walk the feet forward out in front of you. Stretch the legs forward. So we're going to take one last forward fold here. For this one, feet are wider than the hips, but just enough that the belly is going to have some space. So instead of the legs out wide, the legs are mostly angled forward. So this is giving you a little bit more of a stretch for the lower back. If you have something that you need to kind of loop around the feet, belt, strap, a towel, even a blanket, that may help you if you're unable to reach the toes. So extending the heels out away from you, sit up nice and tall. And then inhale, stretch the arms wide, reach all the way up. Now as you exhale, lean forward, take your time so that you feel that stretch across the back body. You can even bend the knees a little bit at first if you need to get a little bit more length in the lower back. And then when you're ready, reach forward. Grab for the feet or the toes outside the feet, maybe the ankles, or loop something around. Turn back to the side here. So once again, feet just wide enough that there's space for the belly, and then extending the heels forward, taking maybe just about 5 or 6 breaths here. And then as you slowly return to seated, go ahead and bend your knees. Bring the soles of the feet together, but don't let the heels come too close. So more of a diamond shape with the legs, and then grabbing your shins. So we're going to finish with just a little bit of movement here, just a slow, gentle rocking sway. And maybe that swaying turns to kind of circles. Eventually let your eyes close. And then once the eyes are closed, just let your body move however it wants to move. Maybe the shoulders shrug, maybe you go back and forth a few times. Maybe the head rolls around as well. Just let yourself move one way a few times, move the other way. And just listen to your breath as you do this. Feel that you're kind of connecting to your breath into your body. So your body is moving around. You're listening to your breath. And then start to slow it down a little bit more. Make the movements a little smaller, a little slower. And eventually just come to stillness for just a couple of breaths. Just sit upright with your eyes closed. And then keeping this calm, we're going to move into Shavasana. So our final resting pose. I'll offer a few options for Shavasana. Avoiding laying flat on your back is the best thing for pregnancy. So if you're comfortable laying onto your side, you can do that. If you have a bolster or a big pillow you'd like to place between your knees, you can do that. Or a body pillow. You can even lay on a couch or a bed, depending on where you are at home. If you do have this set up, what we normally do in class once we have all the props, if you do have 2 blocks and a bolster, I'll do that setup so that you can make an L shape with your blocks. Lay the bolster over that. And then any other props that make you feel comfortable. So you want to get nice and cozy here. So this Shavasana is going to be just a little bit longer. So set yourself up with as many pillows, blankets, props you'd like. So if you do have this setup where you're laying at an angle, make sure your back body is supported. So you're not going to want to lay flat on your back, but you're going to want to stay angled or lay onto your side in some way that's comfortable. And then once you're laying back, decide how the legs want to be positioned. Maybe they're crossed, stretch forward. Maybe the feet will stay on the mat with the feet wide enough that you don't have to hold the legs in position. So just choosing a shape that feels right. So give yourself time to settle in. Take a moment, notice the shoulders. They feel like they're kind of still scrunched up to the ears. Tell them to draw down the back, to settle, to soften. And then once you're in position and your eyes can close and you can let your body settle, start to feel everything relax. So do a little scan from all the way from the top of the head. Notice the facial muscles. See if you can soften those. Release the neck and the shoulders. Let the trunk of the body feel settled, the limbs as well. So feel that relaxation radiating all the way out through the hands and feet. And then once you feel you can really settle yourself in, do this for me. Take one last big long inhale through the nose, and then let your mouth open one last time. Let it go. Allow yourself to rest in Shavasana. If and when you feel ready to move on with your day, start to very gradually reawaken the toes and fingers. Maybe move a little bit at first. And then as you start to bring awareness back into your body, take your time to come up to sit. So if you're on your side, just gently press on the ground. If you're on something, maybe press yourself straight up or shift to your side first. And then finding just a comfortable seat to finish, to close the class, your practice. Draw your hands to your heart. Close your eyes. For just a moment, lay one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. Notice how you feel after all this movement and after Shavasana. Notice if the brain is a little calmer, the breath is a little calmer, the body is a little bit more relaxed. And then as you draw the hands together at the heart once again, inhale, sit a little taller, let the heart lift to the hands. And as you exhale next, just gently, in gratitude, bow your head to your fingertips. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Namaste. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.